Welcome to Python for Introductory Statistics. In this video, we will learn how to write the if and else if statement in Python with Colab. For now, let's go back to our Google Drive if you had already some files saved. If you never had any files saved, you can always go to google.com and search for Colab and and then you would be able to start a new document. So right here, you can just do new notebook. All right. So in this is just like any other programming language, assuming you didn't have any programming language. The if else if statement in Python is used for uh, decision making. So let's say we have a number. Let's call this number n, and let's say this number is 7. And we'll change it later. Now let's say we wanted to write a program to tell us if this number is positive, negative, or 0. So then we can simply use the if statement. So let's say if n is greater than 0, and then we always end it with the colon, right? So this is called the condition. If is n greater than or greater than 0 or not. And if it is true, now notice this is now not in the first line, it's indented line. It doesn't matter how many steps, but indented line, we're going to say print positive. If it's greater than 0, we will print positive, right? And then nothing else here. And now we'll go to the next statement, which is else if. So we go back to the first column here. So else if is ELS and then IF. So else if n is less than 0, it doesn't matter whether we put a space or not. When we do make space, it looks much better, but we don't have to put space. So if n is less than 0, but we have to always end it in colon, and then a new line, we're going to say print. Remember, the word print is a special letter, a special word in Python. It has always to be in small letters. And then we're going to say negative if it is less than 0. And then last, here we're going to say the last one is else. By the way, we don't need we can only have the if sentence without the else if and else's. But in this case, we're going to use it them all. Now, in the else condition, the last one, we don't need to put any condition. We just say else, which means if it's not greater than 0, if it's not less than 0, then print the number must be 0. So this is a sequence of lines, and Python, the interpreter, what it will do is it will read line 1, it will put save in n, and it will come here, is 7 greater than 0, it's true, then it will do positive, and then it will exit from here. If it wasn't, then it will go to the next. If it wasn't, it will keep checking until then, but only one of the conditions is true, and then it will exit. So right now here, I'm just going to add print, and then say this line is after the if statement. So just to tell you that the if statement, only one of the conditions will be true, and then it will exit from there. So let's run this. All right, so it's working. There you go. And it says positive because 7, it will check that it satisfies the first condition. So it printed positive. That means it skipped all these steps because they're not part of, if it's true in the first, then it cannot be true in the others. And then at the end, after it finished processing the if sentence, it printed the last sentence, which is going to be printed always because it's not part of the if condition. Now let's change the 7 to negative 100. Right? And then execute this. Now it quickly checked that negative 100 is in n, negative 100 is greater than 0. That's false. Because it's false, it skips this sentence or this part, this block. And then it goes here, is negative 100 less than 0? That's true. And then it prints negative, and then it goes out of the if sentence and it prints the last one. And finally, if we put a 0 here, and if we run it, obviously it's not, it will skip the first and the second, they're not satisfied. And therefore, because it's not in the first if condition, it's not in the else if, therefore the else must be true and it prints 0. And this is how you use the if else if sentence in Python.